Years ago, Marcin K. told his mother something that no parent ever wants to hear. He said, "Mom, if I ever die while cave diving, at least I'll die doing the thing I love most." It's a statement that carried both love and fear. Love because diving was his greatest passion. Fear because it acknowledged a risk that was all too real. For his mother, Barbara, the words were haunting. Most parents dread even hearing their child mention death, but to hear it tied to an activity as perilous as cave diving was especially frightening. She knew diving could be dangerous. She'd heard the stories, the tragic headlines of divers who went under and never came back. And though she worried deeply, she also respected her son's passion. For Marcin, the water was not just a thrill, it was peace. Marcin wasn't reckless or irresponsible. He lived a full and balanced life. He worked steadily as a network engineer in the IT department at Life South Community Blood Center in Gainesville, Florida, where he had been employed for 6 years. His colleagues admired his skill with computers, his quiet reliability, and his sense of humor. But outside of work, he sought adventure. He surfed, he tried skydiving, and more than anything else, he dove. Diving wasn't just recreation, it was in his blood. His father, also named Marcin, had served in the Coast Guard, where he developed a love for the sea swimming, surfing, and fishing. That spirit carried into his son. So when the CAST underwater research team, known as KUR, looked for volunteers, Marcin jumped at the chance. KUR is a non-profit organization made up of skilled divers who dedicate themselves to exploring deep underwater environments, places so extreme that even scientists hesitate to enter. Their mission is research and preservation. They map caves, document ecosystems, and share their findings with the world, often at great personal risk. For divers like Marcin, joining KUR was a dream. It meant not only pushing his limits, but also doing something meaningful. Every dive wasn't just for personal satisfaction, it was for knowledge, for discovery. Florida is home to more than 400 underwater cave systems. Some are small and hidden, while others stretch for miles beneath the earth. Among these, one of the most captivating is Weeki Wachee Springs State Park. Since 1947, Weeki Wachee has been known worldwide for its live mermaid shows. In the Mermaid Theater, which seats 400 people, performers in shimmering costumes swim gracefully in the spring's clear water. Tourists come from far and wide to see the spectacle. But below that cheerful attraction lies something far more mysterious: the Weeki Wachee Cave System. A labyrinth of dark, twisting passages where the current is strong, the pressure is heavy, and the risks are immense. Even the professional mermaids, so comfortable in the spring, never venture into the caves below. Exploration of Weeki Wachee began in 1998, but the powerful water flow at the entrance stalled progress for nearly a decade. Only in 2007, after an extended drought reduced pressure, did divers finally gain access again. Over the years, with improved equipment and refined techniques, KUR managed to explore deeper and further. But this was no ordinary dive site. To even reach the entrance, divers had to descend 75 feet from the surface, squeeze through a narrow passage barely wide enough for one person, and then push into a system that plunged to depths of over 400 feet. Brett Hemphill, a longtime KUR member, once put it plainly: "There's always a 50/50 chance something will go wrong. Equipment can fail, human error can happen. That's why we prepare for weeks before a single dive." Each mission required 25 team members, 7 of them safety divers, ready to assist if disaster struck. On the 31st of March 2012, 5 divers entered Weeki Wachee's cave system. Among them was Marcin K. His preparation was thorough. His scuba tanks were filled correctly, his regulators checked, his gear secure. He knew the cave well, he had been here before. At around 3:30 p.m., he slipped through the entrance. The strong current pushed against him, but he managed it with practiced skill. He descended into the great cavern, a vast room of stone 180 feet below the surface. The space was both magnificent and intimidating, walls of rock twisting into the dark, with ropes left behind to guide divers back home. These guidelines were lifelines. White ropes marked the deeper caverns, orange ropes marked the path closer to the surface. Divers depended on them. One wrong turn could mean becoming hopelessly lost. After some time exploring, Marson signaled to his teammates that he was ready to ascend. The others acknowledged, and he began following the rope upward. Everything seemed routine. At 142 feet, the cavern narrowed, and the rope shifted to orange, leading toward daylight. He was nearly there, but then something went wrong. Marson ascended too quickly. In doing so, air forced its way into his bloodstream. The result was an arterial gas embolism, a condition where air bubbles block blood flow, especially to the brain and heart. The effects can be immediate and devastating: confusion, blindness, seizures, loss of consciousness, even paralysis. For Marson, the symptoms struck fast. He became disoriented, losing track of the rope. Instead of following the line towards safety, he drifted into a tight, dangerous section of the cavern. He was only 100 feet from the surface, close enough that light would soon have been visible, but his body and mind were failing him. Nearby safety divers saw him. They watched as he struggled, his movements frantic, his head swinging back and forth in confusion. His eyes were wide, searching, but he seemed unaware of where he was. They tried to reach him, but the passage was too narrow. Even side-mount divers couldn't squeeze through. They attempted light signals and touch contact, but Marson couldn't respond. Realizing how critical the situation was, they surfaced quickly to alert the rescue team. By the time rescuers reached him just minutes later, Marson was unconscious. His regulator was out of his mouth. His mask had slipped to his forehead. His body was wedged in a restrictive space, and the silence told them everything. Freeing him was a struggle. His gear, once his protection, had now pinned him in place. Rescuers had to cut it away piece by piece to release his body. At 4:47 p.m., they finally brought him to the surface. His teammates waited anxiously, but when they saw him, the reality was undeniable. Marson was gone. At first, some speculated he might have drowned. But his equipment told another story. His tank was still half full, his regulator functioning. The autopsy confirmed it. The cause of death was arterial gas embolism. Why had he ascended too quickly that day? Panic? A sudden complication? No one knows. Perhaps only Marson himself could have answered. The loss devastated his family. His mother, who had once heard him speak so casually about dying, doing what he loved, now had to live with that reality. He also left behind his father and two sisters who remembered him as both daring and kind-hearted. Life South, his workplace, created an online memorial. Friends and colleagues wrote about his generosity, his adventurous spirit, and the way he made others smile. His sister Andrea described him as a daredevil with a huge heart, a man who lived boldly and left unforgettable memories. In the end, Marson Kay's story is both a tribute and a cautionary tale. He followed his passion to the very depths of the earth, where beauty and danger intertwined. He found joy where most found fear. And though he paid the ultimate price, he lived fully in pursuit of what he loved most. For divers everywhere, his story is a reminder. Beneath the surface lies both wonder and risk. And for his family and friends, Marson will always be remembered not just for how he died, but for how fiercely he lived.